brought out some books, boys. We're gonna get into the tomb here of penny stocks, anything that's newly emerging, the W boson, the gluon, the photon, the W boson, or the photon gluon, W boson, Z boson, because I wanted the platform derivative I over derivative T first for Boot Barn here. And we're in the tomb stocks. Emerging markets would be the first set. Their early beginning, we had some ranges on the X and Y of the data corruption of the round before this gets started, Ben. Of that coming up to being a tomb market, they might be emerging with a time dilation 0-1, or they might be new businesses platformed at certain criteria for how useful the range and plates, figuring out whether you're in the bandwidth or not for what the common herd here would do, because it's its own shadow problem.
Gentlemen, good to have you both with us, Ben.
Given the resume,
just as somebody who kind of surveys the world
mathematically
asset classes,
to those wave functions, obviously E0 to E prime or something to that factor, air turbulence equation, zoom, that scale on X, Y, and Z to knowing the town's overhead is actually like knowing the company's overhead. Like this is the fire escape on most of those big infrastructure models. Ingling angle or Ingling's number, or so it's like X, A1 or prime or square or whatever the hell they're doing. And so they're saying they're all a different resume base as well. So if that's the resume, that type of diagram, the fuzzy, would each have its own degree under the square of what that platform is, or different master mason walkthroughs, check the stone thickness, check the saws, check the tool cabinet. They'd still follow, well, because there's a up, down orientation to some of the timelines in there. I could track the average, I could track dips, I could see dips out of the shadow of that trigonometry or whatever value to the tomb stocks. Again, would separate those first index against an emerging idea, or how its original platform momentum and superposition quantify it to be within the tomb stocks, going through it, which are what doing here, which are kind of having the best probability, separating that down, isolating a variable from that, polarizing that wave function, quantifying it under industrials, any tools that you have in the cabinets that separate how, even under a macro, there might be a range in the bandwidth of penny stocks that say right now percentageably the herd works one way, and again, those diagrams fundamentally work to an emergent model, somebody who knows how those platforms actually program into the computer engineering, diode, transistor, and the diodes are moving this way, but they want to be this way, right? You need the dot matrix and then some basic stuff of the wave, compress, stress, trig, cell on SMP for whatever you're doing, and that says that's the range. But here's the thing, well, business economics is some action, spooky distance, real world stuff. On the farm is saying it's wiggly squiggly danger noodles. They're EM fields that certainly make walls in terms of forbidden orders, the way it pops up with friction. And they map the same way, in probability speaking, certain indexes depending on whatever probability I'm unsure right now. Energy Secretary, you got the Treasury, you got the Fed, you got whatever, Defense Secretary or Millie, whatever you're dealing with, Disney. The air turbulence equation to the signal strength, the coupon.
Recently had a paper looking at how the balance sheets of
be a program,
look a lot better than they did in
2013
when we saw the taper tantrum.
Using that, how do I scan the internet
given
with
what we're seeing, at least in the developed markets, in terms of monetary policy right now?
Back to the tombstock fundamentals, when I'm still doing that in terms of economically speaking, instead of a mill or a thesis under divergent models of angles that correlate to axioms, change its mass and perspective, give me industrial, Dow industrial to Dow, how the two stretch, but now that I have them both, I can compare them against each other as much as any other photon, gluon, W boson, or Z boson, using IH gravity, the fields that spectrum's to, which is the strongest of the IH fields and the weakest of the fields, which is any start or finish, physics, orbital model, where that's going to compute to somebody from MIT about the poverty traps that come up in terms of walking around the cemetery when there might be some 6-foot holes floating around. This is land nav. You don't know it right. You don't know Skull Mountain. Time dilation for the cop and getting stabbed 42 feet before you can pull the gun out on somebody. And security defense models, putting money somewhere, packing potholes, figuring out Ukraine, why Kotos isn't involved at all because CNBC here is NATO essentially. I mean, how else would you do it?